going on, guys? The lockdown is starting to lift slowly, so things are getting back to normal. Today we have a very special guest with us. It's no other than the owner of Librairie Brave Comix in downtown Montreal, Canada. It's Khalid. So welcome, Khalid. Thanks a lot for having us with you today. I met Khalid 3 years ago. When I walked in his shop, the first thing I noticed that I felt a very friendly presence. I bought my first book from him. It was Deadpool. I think it was an oversized hardcover. And the second I walked in, the nature of attention he gave me, the level of attention, of personal attention he gave me was really second to none, which is what made Librairie Brave Comix one of my favorite local comic shops in Canada and definitely my go-to shop in Montreal.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So Khalid, how's it going?
Not bad. Everything is going well and things are improving after they lift the lockdown basically. So things are picking up and it's positive basically. I'm optimistic.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a couple of questions for you today, and this way you can share with us your insight as a comic book expert. You've been in this hobby for several decades now. So since when have you been reading comics and how did you get into this hobby?
Well, actually I was in Africa. My father has his business over there and I was like 6 years old.
Wow.
And basically I used to go to the Lycée Français and the locals over there, they spoke English. Mm-hmm. So to improve my English, my father used to buy us comic books, me and my brother. And that's how I got into comic books. I love them very much ever since.
Wow.
They've been a great inspiration to me.
Must have been like 40 years now, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't want to reveal your age. I just want to show how much of an expert you are on this topic. You've been in this field for a long time.
Yeah.
When I talk to you, this is something very visible. The insight you give me, the advice you give me on what to read, it's really visible. It really shows that you've been in this hobby for a long time. Do you remember what was the first book you read, the first comic book?
I think it was a Superman. That was one of the first books that I've read.
Wow.
And I also remember reading a lot of Marvel comics.
Nice.
Because in Africa, that's what they have, Marvel and DC. Well, Image didn't exist by that time. I was talking, that was in 1976.
Yeah. Nice. Wow.
So I started reading around the age of 6.5 years old or so.
So you really witnessed the good stuff.
Yes, I
saw
did.
the good stuff as it was happening. And back in the day, I don't think comic book collecting was as big as it is today. So perhaps people wouldn't pay a lot of attention to preserving the comics as they did today. So I'm guessing a lot of your collection from back in the day doesn't exist anymore, right?
That's right. The thing is, when we left Africa, I left everything behind.
Yeah.
Because there was a coup d'etat in Africa, and we had to leave a lot of stuff behind, basically,
Yeah.
I had a lot of good stuff because I used to buy a lot of comics back then. Mm-hmm. And not just I didn't follow just one hero or one superhero or whatever. I used to read a lot of stuff from Iron Man to Thor to Hulk.
Nice.
There was even some Western comic books like Billy the Kid.
Okay.
Things like that. Yeah. I used to enjoy them a lot. I used to draw them. I really had fun with them.
Excellent.
Still am.
Obviously, I can tell. So tell me, how did the transition between being an amateur of comic books, a hobbyist, into being a shop owner, how did that happen? How did you come up with the idea of having your own comic book shop, and what was your inspiration? If you can tell us about the story behind the name, perhaps Brave Comix, and what kind of interesting things that happened with you during your journey to open this shop.
Well, actually, it's an interesting journey because for a while I had stopped reading comic books because life got in the way. I was working full time, I had to survive. I'm here by myself. I had to take care of myself. Basically, I forgot about my hobbies.
Yeah.
So, but after a while, I met my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time.
Shout out to our wives, by the way, for having our backs and
God
putting up with
bless
us.
Yeah, so basically I was working in retail for the longest time, for 17 years or so.
Okay.
Then basically I've always wanted to have my own business. I was thinking about opening a shoe store or a convenience store, just to be my own boss. That's what I wanted, basically.
Yeah.
And when I met my wife, we went to New York the first time, and I was inspired by the comic book stores over there, which were fantastic. They're on a bigger scale over there.
Yeah.
And that inspired me. I said, well, that's what I want. It's a comic book store. That's my hobby. That's my passion. I could integrate it with my experience.
Amazing.
And make a good living out of it and be happy at the same time. But that's not only the purpose that pushed me to do that. What I found about the comic book stores is that they provide this, they have this energy, you know, it's like, it gives you a lot of joy when you walk into a comic book store.
It does.
It gives, it takes you back to your childhood, to good times and so on. So I said, I want to sell that to the people. It's not just comic books, you know?
I want to sell that experience, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're doing a great job at that, obviously.
Thank you very much.
So can you tell us what separates Brave Comix from the rest of the comic book stores around? I can, once you tell me what you think separates Brave Comix, I'll tell you my opinion as well, because from the customer's perspective, basically.
Yeah. Well, actually, as a salesman for 17 years or so in shoe stores and different other stores, that's what I like, and that's what I bring to the table, is the customer service and the sales experience. I think I have a lot of experience in that, and it helps me discover what the clients want.
Yeah.
And I could guide them. I could show them what they might want to buy, or let's say if they're how do you say, novices in this area. And for the more sophisticated collectors, I try to buy whatever's popular and whatever's hot out there. I try to have a good selection of the mainstream stuff, basically.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'll actually tell you things from my perspective. We touched on this point a little bit in the beginning of the video. I said how Khalid gives unparalleled personal attention to his customers. The good thing is, when you talk to Khalid, he always remembers what characters you like. He always remembers what runs or what comic books or what artists you're following. So he always has this memory in the back of his mind of basically your interests. So when you talk to him, it's not like a generic salesperson talking to you. It's someone who knows what you like and who keeps that in mind when recommending things for you. And that's every single time I walk into this shop. The kind of conversations I have with him are on a personal level. It's like I'm talking to a friend. It's not like I'm walking into a shop and buying some stuff. No, like buying the things is really a byproduct of the conversation or of the hangout we're having. But the main experience that I come for is the conversation I have with him. So this is what separates Brave Comix for me from the rest of the bunch. Now we talked a lot about the shop itself. I'm interested to know a little bit more about you. So I'm interested to know about what are your favorite comic book characters, and obviously we have spoilers here.
Yeah. but those are my two favorites.
So can you please tell us, who are your favorite comic book characters and why do you like them so much?
Well, from DC, I like the Green Lantern, as you see here. and I like the Green Lantern for a good reason. Is because basically he has an alien ring. It's a sophisticated weapon basically, and it permits the Green Lantern to manifest what he wants into reality.
Yeah.
And that's by having a strong will and being fearless. And I find that's how you have to be in life.
Nice.
in order to get what you want from it, basically.
Having a powerful mind, basically.
That's
putting
right.
your mind into what you want. And it's a really interesting way of looking at the Green Lantern's character.
It is. It's the stories are deep. They're put into that context of superheroes, but they're actually the stories are taken from life. And they're very deep. You just have to know how to read between the lines and look at the stories, basically.
Absolutely. No, absolutely makes sense. And I also see Captain America here next to us. So we're not angering anyone. We chose one DC character and one Marvel character.
That's right. So my favorite Marvel character is Captain America, and that's because he's got a good heart, and basically he fights for what's right, and he tries to do the right thing all the time, basically.
Nice.
So that's why he's my favorite Marvel character, and he's also human, basically. He's got his flaws and so on, but he tries to stick by his decisions and to his guns.
And do the right thing, obviously.
And do the right thing, that's right.
Obviously, these are principles that reflect in your character. I've known you for a while now, and I know that you're a very honest person. So, obviously, you chose comic book characters that you can relate to.
That's right, thanks.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, my favorite comic book character is Venom, so go figure. Now, you know a little bit about my character now. So before we wrap up, can you give us some advice? So what advice can you give to people who are just starting with comic books? People who are interested in reading comic books and they don't know where to start? People who perhaps are confused as to which character should I start with? Which run should I start with?
Well, it's an interesting question because that's what I do that's what I did when I used to choose my comic books, basically. When I would go into the store, I would, see what jumps at me, something that I feel positive about.
Yeah.
Usually, when you feel something positive about something, that's the universe telling you, basically, that's the choice that you have to make, basically,
Nice.
So whichever character you feel you can relate to, you're gonna feel positive about it at first.
Yeah.
And of course, there's always the salesman there who could help, with clarifying things for you and so on.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, basically.
Absolutely. So basically, what you're saying is that we should follow our instinct. Like if something appeals to us, we should go for it. If perhaps, let's say, I'm gonna take an example here. I'm gonna grab a comic book. So obviously, this is a hot new item here. This is Dark Knight's Death Metal Snyder work here. It's a game changer in my opinion. Snyder is a game changer in the DC universe, although this is obviously not canon. But the first thing that attracted me to this comic book is the cover. Look at this foil cover, very beautiful art. It's an original take on existing DC characters. So if I was someone who's not aware of the story behind this comic, I would have probably picked this comic because of the cover here. So that's actually how I pick up a lot of my comics. When I'm interested in reading something, I just walk into the store and I look at the covers. If something calls me, if something appeals to me, I pick it up based on the artwork. I follow my instinct, basically I follow my inner child. But obviously as you mature in the hobby, as you become more mature, as you know more what characters you like, you can start focusing on specific writers and specific artists. So if you like the specific writing of like a writer, you can follow their works. If you like the specific art style of an illustrator, you can follow their works. In my case, for instance, I have two of my favorite writers are Cullen Bunn and Donny Cates. These are modern era writers. So the first time I was exposed to their works, I knew that I'm gonna like them. I started researching more works so I could focus more on their style. And before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to add, Khalid?
Well, actually, yes. As we were saying before, that about following your instincts and so on. I think that's the best way to do a lot of decisions in life.
Yeah.
Basically, is follow your gut feeling, and that's how the universe speaks to you. Basically, to guide you, to let you know that that's the right decision to make usually. So by doing that myself, it got me here, you know. It took me a long way, and basically I learned that the hard way, basically how to do that. But actually I found that it's the right way, because your head usually gets in the way of making decisions.
Yeah, you overthink sometimes, you overcomplicate things, obviously.
That's right.
So you're saying this principle also applies to reading comics, basically. Follow your inner child, follow your gut feeling, and whatever appeals to you, just grab it and read it, and then you
That's right. I'll tell you why also, because sometimes whatever's calling you in a comic book,
yeah.
There's sometimes a message there for you from the universe. You
Absolutely. deep conversation, guys. Deep thoughts. So that's it, guys. That's it for this interview. If you would like to visit Librairie Brave Comix here in downtown Montreal, the address is 4154B Sainte-Catherine West.
In Westmount.
In Westmount. And trust me, you won't be disappointed. You'll get to meet this wonderful gentleman with wonderful insight, and you'll really love it, trust me. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and see you on the next one.
Thank you.